Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
Hey guys, we're really happy you're here with us today.
I hope your day is going well so far.
And if life feels a little messy right now, this episode might feel very familiar.
Yes, today we're talking about when life feels messy.
Which is a very real topic.
Very real.
Because almost everyone has periods when life feels unclear, unorganized, heavy, or just not fully under control.
Definitely.
And I think those periods can be especially hard when you are someone who wants clarity.
I agree.
So, maybe we should start with a simple question. What does life feels messy mean to you?
For me, it means things do not feel calm, clear, or settled.
That's a good definition.
It can be external things.
Like what?
Too many tasks, too many changes, too many emotions, too many unfinished things, no structure, no clear direction.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
But it can also be internal.
What do you mean?
I mean, when your mind feels crowded, your emotions feel mixed, and you don't really know what you need.
Wow. Yes.
What about you? What does messy life feel like for you?
For me, it feels like there are too many tabs open in my brain.
That's such a good way to say it.
Thank you.
It's very accurate, though.
I think so too. Nothing is fully falling apart, maybe. But everything feels a little unfinished.
Yes.
And because of that, even simple things start feeling heavier.
Exactly.
I think messy periods are difficult because they make you feel less like yourself.
That's very true. I've noticed that when life feels messy, I become less present.
Same.
My mind jumps too much.
Yes.
I think about many things, but I don't feel settled in any of them.
That's so relatable. Do you think everyone has messy periods?
Definitely. Definitely.
Me too.
I think it's part of life.
Yes. But I also think people often feel ashamed when life gets messy.
That's such an important point.
They think, I should have it together. I should be handling this better. I should know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
And then the mess becomes even heavier.
Yes, because now there is life pressure and self-judgment at the same time.
That's so true.
I think one of the healthiest things we can remember is that messy periods are normal.
Definitely.
Not fun, but normal.
Yes, very normal.
Life changes, energy changes, plans change, people change. Sometimes things become unclear.
Exactly. I think the problem is not that life gets messy sometimes.
What do you think the problem is?
I think the problem is when we expect ourselves to look perfectly calm while everything feels complicated.
Wow. Yes,
That pressure is so unnecessary.
I really agree with that. I think one reason life feels messy is transition.
Definitely.
When one part of life is ending, but the next part is not clear yet.
Yes, that middle space can feel very unstable.
Exactly.
I think transitions are hard because the old structure is gone,
Yes,
but the new structure has not formed yet.
that's such a good way to say it.
Thank you.
I think people often underestimate how emotional that can be.
Definitely.
Even if the change is good, transition can still feel messy.
Yes, good change can still feel hard.
New job, new city, new routine, new relationship, new goals. All of that can create internal mess.
Because the nervous system still has to adjust.
Exactly.
Do you think messy life is always external?
No, not always.
Same.
Sometimes everything looks normal from the outside, but inside, you feel messy.
That's very true.
You can still be doing your tasks, answering messages, going places, working, smiling.
Yes,
But inside, there is too much noise.
I know exactly what you mean.
I think that kind of mess can be harder because other people may not see it.
Definitely. And if other people don't see it, you may start telling yourself that maybe it's not real.
Yes. Or that you should just be fine.
Exactly.
But internal mess is still real mess.
Very real.
It can be confusion, emotional overload, too many thoughts, no clear direction, low energy, or just the feeling that everything is a little too much.
That's such a good description. What usually makes life feel messy for you?
Too many things at once.
Same.
If many parts of life all need attention at the same time, I start to feel scattered.
Yes, that's a big one for me too.
Work, messages, decisions, plans, emotions, health, house stuff, all of it together can feel like mental traffic.
Mental traffic is such a good phrase.
Thank you.
I think one reason messy periods are so tiring is because the brain keeps switching.
Exactly.
One thought, then another task, then another worry.
Yes, and you never feel fully inside one thing.
That's so true.
What makes life feel messy for you?
Too many unfinished things.
Oh yes, that's a big one.
If I have many open loops, my mind gets tired very quickly.
I understand that completely.
Messages I need to answer, things I need to decide, places I need to go, tasks I started but didn't finish. All that builds pressure.
Yes. Even if each thing is small, together they become heavy.
Exactly.
I think unfinished things take more emotional space than people realize.
Definitely.
Because they sit quietly in the background.
Yes. And they keep asking for attention.
That's such a good way to say it.
Thank you.
I also think life feels messy when your habits disappear.
That's a very good point.
If sleep becomes irregular, meals become random, the room becomes messy, movement disappears, phone time increases, everything starts feeling less stable.
Yes. Small structure matters a lot.
Definitely.
I think habits are like little rails that help daily life move more smoothly.
I love that image.
But when the rails disappear, everything starts sliding around.
That actually makes a lot of sense. I'm not saying life needs to be perfect,
No.
but some structure protects us more than we notice.
I completely agree. I think when life feels messy, people often react in two extreme ways.
What do you mean?
Either they give up and do nothing, or they try to fix everything in one day.
Wow. Yes.
And both usually make things worse.
That's very true.
Giving up creates more chaos.
And trying to fix everything creates more pressure.
Exactly.
I think messy periods need calm, not drama.
That is such a good sentence.
I really believe that.
Me too.
I think when life feels messy, the nervous system is already overloaded.
Yes.
So adding panic usually doesn't help.
Definitely not.
What helps is reducing the volume a little.
I like that.
Less pressure, less impossible expectation, less emotional noise.
That sounds very healthy.
I think so too.
So what helps you when life feels messy?
First, I try to make things smaller.
Say more.
I stop thinking about fixing everything.
That already sounds wise.
Instead, I ask, what is the next useful thing?
That's such a strong question.
It helps me because mess often gets worse when everything feels huge.
Yes, huge thinking creates paralysis.
Exactly. But if I ask, what is the next useful thing? Life becomes more possible again.
That makes a lot of sense. What kind of things count as useful things?
Very simple things. Drink water, shower, answer one message, make the bed, go outside for 10 minutes, clear one small space. Write down what's in my head.
I love that list.
None of those things solve all of life,
No,
but they change the direction of energy.
that's a beautiful way to say it.
Thank you.
What helps me is slowing down the number of things I try to hold at once.
That's really good.
If life feels messy, I try to stop adding extra complexity.
Like what?
Too many plans, too many promises, too many optional tasks, too much random scrolling, too much pressure to do everything.
Yes, that's so important.
Sometimes the healthiest thing is not adding more solutions.
Right.
It's removing some noise.
Exactly. I think messy periods often need less, not more.
Yes, less stimulation, less perfectionism, less comparison, less impossible planning.
Definitely.
Let's talk about emotional mess for a moment.
Good idea.
Because sometimes life feels messy, not because of tasks, but because of feelings.
Very true.
Sometimes you are sad and tired and confused at the same time,
Yes.
or disappointed and hopeful at the same time.
Or grateful and overwhelmed.
Exactly.
I think emotional mess is one of the hardest kinds because it's not always easy to explain.
Definitely.
Sometimes, nothing dramatic happened, but inside you still feel mixed.
That's so real.
I think one of the best things we can do there is stop demanding perfect clarity immediately.
Wow. Yes.
Sometimes emotions need time before they become clear.
That's such a good point.
If I push too hard to understand everything right now, I usually feel worse.
Same.
Sometimes the kindest thing is saying, okay, I feel messy today, and that's where I am right now.
That's very wise. I think naming it helps a lot.
Definitely.
If I say, I feel off, I feel overloaded, I feel scattered, it creates a little space.
Yes, and without that naming, everything just feels like one heavy fog.
Exactly.
I also think writing things down helps when life feels messy.
That sounds very Emily,
I know.
but I can see why it helps.
It helps because the mind is often carrying too many loose things at once.
Yes.
But when I write things down, I can see them more clearly.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
The mess becomes more visible and less shapeless.
I like that.
I don't always need a perfect plan. Sometimes I just need to see what's there.
That's a really important distinction. I think one reason life feels messy is because everything stays mixed together.
Yes. Tasks, emotions, worries, hopes, responsibilities. Everything becomes one pile.
Exactly.
And then the brain starts treating everything like one big emergency.
That's so true.
But usually not everything is an emergency.
Definitely not.
Some things are just unfinished.
Some things are just uncomfortable.
Some things just need time.
And some things need action, but not panic.
That's such a good sentence.
Thank you.
By the way, if you enjoy listening to Simple English with us, don't forget to subscribe to Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
And if you think this episode can help a friend with English, feel free to share it with them.
We'd really appreciate that.
Okay, let's keep going.
Let's talk about the pressure to have it together.
Ah, yes, the classic problem.
I think a lot of people feel like they should always look organized, clear, productive, emotionally stable, and in control.
Definitely.
And when life gets messy, they don't only feel messy.
They also feel ashamed.
Exactly.
I think that's one reason messy periods become heavier than they need to be.
Because now there are two problems.
Right, the actual mess and the shame about the mess.
Yes.
I think we need to normalize the fact that people go through chaotic or unclear periods.
Definitely.
Not every week of life will feel elegant.
That's such a good line.
Thank you.
It's true, though.
Very true.
I think some of the most human parts of life are also the least Instagram-friendly parts.
Wow. Yes.
Uncertainty, slow growth, emotional confusion, rebuilding, recovering, trying again.
That's such a strong point.
We don't always see those parts clearly in other people's lives.
Exactly.
So, when our own life feels messy, we can feel uniquely behind.
Yes. Even though many people are quietly going through the same thing.
Definitely.
I think comparison makes messy periods much worse.
Absolutely.
Because then you're not only dealing with your own reality.
You're also comparing it to someone else's cleaner-looking reality.
Exactly.
And social media is especially dangerous for that.
Very dangerous.
You can already feel scattered, then open your phone, and suddenly everyone else looks organized, peaceful, successful, and glowing.
That's so real.
Even if you know it's not the full truth, it still affects your nervous system.
Yes. It creates unnecessary emotional pressure.
I think one healthy thing in messy periods is reducing comparison.
Definitely.
More reality, less performance.
I love that.
Me too.
Let's talk about control.
Okay.
I think when life feels messy, many people become obsessed with control.
Yes, that makes sense.
They feel unstable, so they want to control everything.
Exactly.
But often, that creates more tension.
Definitely. I think there is a big difference between helpful structure and panic control.
That's such a good distinction.
Helpful structure feels supportive.
Yes.
Panic control feels tight, harsh, and impossible.
Exactly.
Helpful structure might be making one list, cleaning one surface, setting one bedtime, or choosing one priority.
Yes.
Panic control is trying to redesign your whole life tonight.
That's so true.
And panic control usually comes from fear, not wisdom.
Wow. Yes.
I've done that before.
Same.
When life feels messy, it can be very tempting to make a huge dramatic plan.
Exactly.
But usually what helps more is one calm next step.
I completely agree. Do you think messy periods can teach us anything?
Yes, I do.
What do they teach?
They often show us where life has become too full, too noisy, too rushed, or too disconnected.
That's such a good point.
They can reveal what has not been working for a while.
Yes. Sometimes the mess is not random.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's information.
I think that's very true.
A messy period can show you that you need more rest.
Or simpler goals.
Or clearer boundaries.
Or less pressure.
Or more honesty.
Exactly. I also think messy periods can make people softer.
That's beautiful.
If they let them.
What do you mean?
I mean, if you stop fighting reality so hard, you can become a little more gentle with yourself.
I love that.
Because life does not always move in straight, clear lines.
Definitely not.
Sometimes it moves in waves, pauses, confusion, and rebuilding.
That's such a human truth.
I think so too.
So, if someone listening says, "My life feels messy, and I don't know where to start," what would you say?
I would say start by making things smaller.
Good answer.
Don't try to fix your whole life tonight.
That's very important.
Start with one useful thing, one kind thing, one stabilizing thing.
I love that.
Maybe it's sleep.
Maybe it's water.
Maybe it's a walk.
Maybe it's writing down what's in your head.
Maybe it's cleaning one little area.
Exactly.
What would you say?
I would say, stop asking, how do I become fully organized immediately?
That's a very good one. And ask instead, how do I make today 10% calmer? Wow. I love that question.
I think it changes everything.
Yes, because 10% calmer feels possible.
Exactly.
And possible things are what help messy periods.
Definitely.
I would also say this: don't confuse a messy period with a failed life.
That is such an important sentence.
I really mean it.
Me too.
A messy season is still a season. It's not the whole story.
Exactly. So, what's one thing you want to remember when life feels messy?
That calm matters more than perfection.
That's beautiful.
What about you?
That one honest next step is more powerful than one dramatic plan.
I love that.
Me too.
So, maybe the message of this episode is simple.
Messy periods are part of life.
They do not mean you failed.
They often need honesty, softness, and smaller steps.
Not panic, not shame, not impossible pressure.
Exactly.
So that was our conversation about when life feels messy.
Thanks for spending this time with us on Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the channel and share it with a friend who is learning English too.
We'd really appreciate that.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.